Meteorologist Matthew East here with you. This is the Friday, February 26th edition of the Carolina Weather Video here, and a lot to talk about. We have intern Robert here in the background ready to go, and we're certainly looking at the system next week with a lot of interest. The GFS has finally joined the party of pretty much the consensus of the foreign models now, and really, honestly, we have pretty good model consensus with where this thing might wind up tracking, and so that always raises alarm bells. You're just kind of waiting for something to go awry when that's the case. But let me show you how things look. First of all, let's start off with the radar this morning. Huge snow event unfolding in places off to our north, parts of New York State, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, down into the Delmarva Peninsula, just really piling up the snow. And of course, interestingly enough, with the surface low position, you have the warm air advection side of the southerly flow side of the system up into Maine. So a lot of rain into interior Maine. Now, here's the next system sort of coming down the chute, and that is causing some mixed precipitation in Oklahoma and Arkansas this morning. But due to the very strong nature of that New England low, that one's going to get crushed well off to our south. Here's the wind streamlines across the lower 48. A couple of features to note. One, there's the surface low in the New England states, and we've had a lot of wind energy wrapping around the backside of that low, and it's going to be another windy day across our region today. We could easily see some wind gusts again today over 30 or 35 miles an hour. As I'm cutting this video, still blizzard warnings up in Watauga and Ashe County up in the mountains due to a lot of blowing snow. And they could see some 60-plus mile-an-hour gusts up that way today. So let's get into the modeling. This is the 6Z run of the GFS, and I'll show you a lot of different models as this video unfolds, so kind of hang with me here. Today going to be another quiet day overall in terms of no precipitation. It's going to be a windy day again, like I mentioned. Highs a little warmer than yesterday, probably mid to upper 40s in a lot of spots around the region. All right, that next system, like I mentioned, is going to get crushed to our south, so that low heads toward Miami. And so the most we see out of that is a little bit of cloud cover. And we'll be looking at a quiet weekend forecast. There's Saturday, there is Sunday, and altogether pretty quiet. We'll see highs over the weekend, sort of bumping up into the upper 40s to lower 50s in some instances. Not a bad weekend at all. Monday, we squeeze in a quiet day, but here comes the next system. Now remember, yesterday, I told you, I think my quote was the GFS was garbage, but I was handling that low as it took it down to Miami and into the Bahamas. It has come around now, and sort of watch what this does with it. Here we are at, again, this is the 6C run of the GFS. This is 1 a.m. on Tuesday morning. You're looking at that low in the northeastern Gulf of Mexico. 6 hours later, it's in North Florida. And 6 hours later, strengthening just off the South Carolina coast. 6 hours later here at 7 p.m. Tuesday, it's really cranking just off the coast of Wilmington. And then it lifts up just offshore from the Outer Banks from there. So this is still not the range to take any type of details from the models, but at least now we have the GFS seemingly having a clue with what's going to happen with this system next week. Let me step you through a couple of the other models here. This is the European model. What an impressive run this was. This is the 0Z run from today, and this is valid 7 o'clock in the evening Tuesday. You're looking at the low over North Florida, and boy, then it really cranks. At 7 a.m. Wednesday, the low really strengthening just off the North Carolina coast, and it's a slow mover on the European. It's just north of the Outer Banks. Has a pretty strong, frankly, if you look at pressure, it's hurricane strength in terms of pressure, cranking just off the North Outer Banks. Let's look at the Canadian. Here we are at 7 a.m. Tuesday. It's a little quicker over the Florida Panhandle. This is 7 p.m. Tuesday. It doesn't strengthen it as quickly, but the location is still pretty similar off the Carolina coast, the track of this rather, and there we go off the Outer Banks with this on 7 a.m. Wednesday. All right, so let's do a quick little model comparison here. All right, let's go back and look at this. This is the European, 7 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday. You see that position off of the Carolina coast. All right, let's look at the Canadian at the same time frame. Again, it's a little quicker with it, just northeast of the Outer Banks. And finally, this is the GFS position at the same time. It's a little northeast of the Outer Banks. It's a little bit timing-wise in line with the Canadian as opposed to the European. So one more set of data to look at. Let's look at the ensembles. This is the European ensemble mean position. And what that basically means is they take all the you take all the ensembles, you average them together. This is what you get here. 7 o'clock in the morning Wednesday, the European ensemble mean position there is just off the Carolina coast, so good agreement with its operational run overall. In fact, let me show you that. There's the European ensemble mean for 7 a.m. Saturday. You look at the actual operational European and notice that is very good agreement. All right, let's look at the GFS. This is the 0Z ensemble mean position. We look at the latest 6Z run for the same time period, and not bad, pretty close. Canadian ensemble mean, there's 7 a.m. on Wednesday. You see its position, compare that to the Canadian operational run, not bad there either. So honestly, the models are in pretty good agreement now with the track of this, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that always makes me a little worried as you're waiting for something to go awry. As we are still obviously several days away. But at this point, I see nothing at all to change the thinking I've been laying out here for a few days, that this is going to be probably a big snowstorm somewhere across the southeast, and probably a lot of somewheres across the southeast. My thinking right now is that the snow could begin even maybe as far back. I'm not talking about the plain states. I'm going to focus on the southeast. But we could even see some snow in north and central Mississippi and Alabama out of this. And then certainly the potential for heavier snow increases when you get into northern Georgia and especially into the Carolinas. And it's just tough to nail down a specific area. I'm not really ready to do that, but I'd say anybody outside of the South Carolina coast and maybe up toward Wilmington, anybody outside of that area, fair game to see a decent amount of snow with this system. That's how it stands right now. I'm not ready to talk amounts. I'm not ready to talk specific locations yet. It's too far away for that. But the potential is there for a big-ticket snow event across a lot of our region. Some places will miss out probably. Other places will really cash in. And we'll see how this all plays out. All right, that's it for today's edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, and God bless.